Welcome to our presentation on gamification, designing to develop problem-solving and critical thinking skills in online courses. This presentation has been developed as part of a group project for the Instructional Design Certificate program through the Online Learning Consortium. In this presentation, we will be reviewing the following concepts: defining gamification, reviewing findings associated with gamification in online learning, evaluating the importance of instructional design in developing effective gamification-focused online courses, analyzing the pros and cons of gamification, and looking at some examples. At the end of our presentation, you will see a list of resources that we used. So, are you ready to begin? Okay, let's go. What is gamification? Well, gamification is the use of individual game elements to motivate and engage respondents. It is the breaking up of a game into its fundamental components, such as avatars, chance, points, rewards, stories, competition, and collaboration. Essentially, it's taking the craft of games and pouring them into fun and addicting elements and applying them to real-world activities that drive behaviors and produce desired outcomes. Yu-Kai Chow is a leader in this field. He says gamification is the craft of deriving fun and engaging elements found typically in games and thoughtfully applying them to real-world or productive activities. So, why are we talking about gaming in education? Well, first of all, gaming is not new to education. Do you remember playing with dice in your elementary math class? Did you have to add the dots together? Were you learning and playing at the same time? Yes, you were. Adding games helps make learning something new and fun and enjoyable. This concept, when applied effectively through instructional design techniques, can positively impact online learning. For online learning, gamification is an extrinsic motivator, helping to increase student engagement and retention in the course. Students are encouraged to work together to achieve a common goal, which helps build relationships, trust, and a sense of community. Also, to meet the goals of the course and/or game in the course, students must use critical thinking and problem-solving skills. Gamification requires a sense of creativity and the ability to think outside the box. Of course, as mentioned previously, effective instructional design plays a large part in the effectiveness of gamification in online learning. So now that we understand what gamification is and its importance to online learning, let's discuss the two major types of gamification instructional designers can incorporate into their areas of practice. According to Instructional Design Theories and Models, Volume 4, gamification falls into two categories: structural gamification and content gamification. Scott Nicholson defines structural gamification as an attempt to bring game-like elements to an educational context. In this practice, instructional designers develop points, levels, badges, leaderboards, and achievements to support student learning. Content gamification, on the other hand, is designed so that students can assume roles and participate in activities that allow students to observe and imitate realistic actions and activities. This type of design supports Albert Bandura's social learning theory in that people learn from each other, whether it be by observation, imitation, or modeling. Now, let's move along and look at the pros and cons of gamification. First, let's look at the pros. According to researchers at the 2005 National Summit on Educational Games, there's a higher rate, 95%, of retention when people do something themselves, as opposed to recalling information from reading, hearing, and seeing. Studies have also shown that students are more likely to spend more time in content when the content is engaging. Challenges within games are a good way to encourage critical thinking among your students. With incentives like rewards and high scores, if players achieve their overall goals, this creates enthusiasm among the players. Games also allow for instant feedback using leaderboards or dashboards. And finally, some students have trouble with social interaction, and games may help these students create social connections and collaborate with each other. Okay, now the cons. Critics have argued that immediate feedback and quick responses cause problems with student attention spans. Cost can vary on the type of system you want to incorporate within your course. Gamification also requires prior planning outside of the classroom, and this can be difficult for faculty and administrators. If the game element requires funding, will students be charged, or will the institution absorb these costs? Similarly, curriculum requirements may restrict instructors from using gamified learning elements within their classrooms. And while tracking students' games progress is recommended, when choosing a game, it is not often clear how the results of the game will tie into student learning outcomes assessment. Now that we have an understanding of the pros and cons of applying game theory to online educational settings, let's take a look at two examples of gamification in action. First, at UMass Boston, students who complete this non-credit project risk management course earn a digital badge. This is an example of a tangible, extrinsic motivational reward. Digital badges have personal branding and networking benefits for students, as well as being a motivating factor. Second, MarketWatch is a free virtual stock exchange simulation. Quincy College recently used this online tool as part of a term-long project for a Business 101 course. The simulation allows students to trade stocks in real time using virtual portfolios. They can talk strategies with others in discussion groups, and really they're applying financial theory to real-life scenarios. Please feel free to access the accompanying transcript to review the references we used in detail. There are a lot of great resources here, so we encourage you to take a look. This concludes our presentation. Our group members include Laura Lowe-Reefer from Georgia Southern University, Kim Blanchette from Onondaga Community College, Justin Dolce from Touro College, and I'm Janine Glatfelter from Excelsior College. Thank you so much for joining us to learn more about gamification in higher ed.